It's ChrystalChyna. Happy New Year! And we're back with another episode of Musicology 101. Let's get it! We are so elated to be back in 2025 with another sister series episode. Yes. This time, we're chronicling a plethora of sisters in one group. Yes. It's a whole lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not just a trio or a duo. Right. It's a few of them. Yes. We're excited to be back and continuing on. And then, of course, soon we'll be doing the brothers.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting.
Got one more sister series.
One more
episode
sister
after
series.
This one. Mm-hmm. And then the brothers series.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments what brothers you guys would like for us to chronicle.
Exactly.
Yes. But moving on, this group is another gospel group, but they set the precedent of a new sound, I would say. A new sound, a new, I guess, tradition, and a new message and who they were talking to.
Exactly.
It wasn't just they were talking to all of God's children.
Exactly.
Which what it should all really be about anyway.
Right.
But yes, I guess, without further ado, so we can really get into it.
The drum roll.
Okay. Yes. The Clark sisters, let's get it.
The Clark sisters are a Detroit, Michigan, code in the D.
Yes.
But they are from Detroit, Michigan, and they are a gospel-based group, and it consisted originally of 5 sisters. That is Jackie, Denise, Twinkie, Dorinda, Karen. All singing sisters from the beginning. Period. The girls were born to the iconic, the legend, Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, who was the longest running international minister of music for Church of God in Christ.
Kojic.
You're living right. I can do it. I can do it. Yes. If you're walking the right, I can do it. I can do it. That's the anthem right there.
Yes, honey. No, that really is my anthem. Right? Dr. Clark married twice. First to Leo H. Cullum, producing 2 children, Jackie and a son, Leo Jr. Secondly, to Pastor Elbert Clark, which produced Denise, Twinkie, Dorinda, and Karen. Being that Dr. Clark was already a successful musician and a choir director, she had been teaching her daughters how to sing since they were very small. Teaching them early.
It would only make sense.
With the determination and drive of their mother, the girls were already singing in the choir of their father's Kojic church. By the late 60s, the girls were performing songs that their mother had arranged for them in church services.
After the divorce between Dr. Moss and Pastor Elbert in 1973, Dr. Mattie Moss, she went full force and put all her focus into the girls and their career, and she formally formed the Clark sisters.
Yes.
That same year, the Clark sisters released their debut album entitled Jesus Has a Lot to Give, which he does.
Not which he does.
And it was released on their maternal uncle's, Bill Moss's independent label. I believe it's called Bless. I guess Bless.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
It got a little
ring to it.
The album, however, didn't garner much attention for the girls as it was sold at churches, revivals, and festivals. However, the following year, their album Mattie Moss Presents the Clark Sisters was released, and it began to catch the attention of the Detroit gospel scene, where the girls began to be noticed. After garnering some attention, Dr. Clark took the group on the road to perform at some regional churches.
In the meantime, the girls were getting a lot of airplay on local Detroit radio stations, and this also helped them secure a record contract with Sound of Gospel Records. While on this label, the sisters released successful albums between the years 1974 to 1979. One of those albums, He Gave Me Nothing to Lose, actually hit the top 20 on the Billboard Spiritual LPs chart.
During this time, Dr. Clark gave full creative control to Twinkie where she would be able to do the arrangements, the songwriting, everything. She gave it to Twinkie and said, go ahead.
Go ahead, though.
In 1980, the group released Is My Living in Vain, which solidified the girls' popularity for real. Something about, first of all, just the title track of that. I think, you know that Jay-Z and Beyonce song where they sampled the Clark sisters? I think Haya is on that same album.
Okay.
Yes. But the title track alone, Is My Living in Vain, is a masterpiece. It's so raw. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people have seen the live footage from that performance, but I urge a lot of our younger viewers to go watch that and just go watch the rawness of emotion in that whole performance. And Dorinda,
we will probably just
link it in the description for y'all. But it's just so raw. It's so like perfect. I can't describe it any other way. Like, it's something about the Clark sisters and their blend. As sisters, you're automatically gonna have a certain blend, but theirs is just different and it's crisp. Like, I could hear each of them differently, but they blend so well together.
I don't know. That's something you have to really work hard for, because like she said, as sisters, even like with us, like we had to work to learn how to blend together.
It's not a like
it's like you guys might kind of sound similar, but to blend where it sounds like one voice, that's it takes a lot of work.
It does.
Is my living in vain? Is my giving in vain? Is my praying in vain? Is my fasting in vain? Am I wasting my time? Can the clock be rewind? Have I let my light shine? Have I made 99? No, of course not. It's not all in vain. No. 'Cause up the road, that'll gain.
Live album gave the group their first glimpse of crossover success, as the album spent a year at the top of the gospel charts.
It was definitely a new era. You know, like I feel like the Clark sisters, even though like in a sense they are traditional gospel,
right,
at the same time it's like, because it was more of a merging sound because of Twinkie's influence with popular music. I feel like this is kind of like the birth of like contemporary gospel as we know it.
You're right. No, you're right, because this is like the exit of, I guess, in their time, the times that they were growing up in, the Clara Ward singers were like, you know,
like the Caravan, like that was mainstream.
That was
Don't
mainstream.
Get me wrong, but it still was really,
it was traditional gospel. You know, whole new sound. Like those ladies were back in the day. They were like, the Clark sisters weren't doing that. Like, you know,
a little bit more flair.
Yes, exactly. For the young folk.
Yes. Their release, You Brought the Sunshine, in 1981 was an extremely successful release because of its title track. Now, let's get into the background of that.
Okay, yes.
Now, I mean, allegedly. We'll say allegedly.
I'll say alleged, because I'm not trying to get
my Auntie Twinkie in trouble. Like, never that.
I think this artist is cool with it.
I know, right? Auntie Twinkie is a huge Stevie Wonder fan. And even if you listen to a lot of their tracks, you can kind of hear the influence. Yes. Even in their inflections, you can hear the influence, like a Stevie influence. And around this time, and I feel like we kind of talked about this kind of slightly if you go back to our Tammy Terrell video.
Oh, that's right.
The Hotter Than July album, which includes Stevie's hit, All I Do. Like, it's that it has a lot of reggae feels.
Mm-hmm.
So on the song Hotter Than July, if you listen, it has a certain boom, 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 boom. Really, because Stevie was influenced by Bob Marley.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The jamming.
Yeah.
You know?
Was it Master
yes,
Jamming?
Master, yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Yes.
That's the song that Twinkie referenced.
Exactly.
For You Brought the Sunshine.
So you kind of
Mm-hmm. Dum, 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 dum.
Like
the same thing.
It's like, I know Twinkie definitely put her own thing
Yeah, she did.
But that was the influence,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially that album came out like this is the same era.
Mm-hmm. The early 80s.
The early 80s. And I feel like we don't even really talk about the early 80s.
Yes.
Now. Like people think, and this is like what I can't stand about people and their misunderstanding of decades. I'm like, yes, it was a decade, but there are different eras to each decade.
Exactly.
It's not all
just one
like
thing.
same with the 70s. It wasn't always just dashikis
or disco music.
Right. I'm like, it's just certain points that were different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. You made my day. You came my way. You heard me every time I pray. You gave me peace. You gave me grace. You put a smile upon my face. You brought the sunshine in my eyes. You are the lifeline. You are the lifeline. You are the sunshine in my eyes. You are the lifeline. Since that I have found Christ, there has been such a change in my life. Jesus is the answer. He breaks every feather. He breaks every feather. It really doesn't matter. There's nothing impossible, nothing infallible, nothing.
Okay.
Oh my God. No matter what your problem, no matter what your problem, God can always solve them. God can always solve them. Cast your cares upon Him. Triumph till your He will brighten up your day. If you go with it, I know. Did that? She did that. The scatty.
Like, oh my gosh. Like,
nobody doesn't like
no.
I
I'm like, I think for the most part, like even when you try to find the lyric of that song, that part on its own, I think most of it is scatting.
Yes.
And then like she puts like words in
Yeah.
between, but I really think it's scatting.
And that's a lost art too.
I just saw our sis Kiara do it.
Period.
And she did it.
It's in her blood.
It's in her bloodline. So I mean, she did that.
She did that.
'Cause that's not an easy scat
It's
at
not
all.
Peaking at number 9 on the top gospel albums chart. The song itself, that crossed over the gospel boundary. I mean, they were playing this song in Studio 54.
Oh, period.
I know. I'm like, God, I wish I was alive.
No, because honestly, no, for real. I remember being little, and of course, like I knew it was a gospel song, but it just felt so contemporary,
Right?
In a good way. Like
Yes.
it just felt. It didn't feel too, I guess, in their words, worldly, but it just felt. It. I don't know. It was like a groove. It's a jam, for real.
Yes. You are the sunshine. Can you imagine if
I
Studio
know,
54?
exactly.
I'm sorry. I would have been.
But the message was
Exactly,
getting-
because I mean, at the end of the day, you can't help but sing the lyrics.
Exactly.
I mean, and the lyrics, it's not.
It's clear as day.
It's clear. It's not like, oh, I wonder are they talking.
No,
It's clear who they're talking about.
If I was a gospel artist, I would want my stuff played in the club too.
Yes,
It's supposed to reach all of God's children,
exactly
right?
Right. Yes.
I mean, of course, people had their problems. The Kojic Church had their problems with that, with their crossover success. But you know, our aunties, the Clark sisters, they kept pushing on because this was for a greater good. Their whole careers were for a greater good, and pushing a boundary which was very necessary.
Exactly, because I mean, this song came out during what was about to be, first of all, the crack era, the era of HIV, where people needed that. They needed to hear it, and not in a sense of like judgment, or sometimes what is considered too traditional to the point where it's
the message is not, you know what I'm saying? Not impactful.
Exactly.
In 1982, the sisters went on to release Sincerely, which had the hit singles of Name It, Claim It, and World. Name It, Claim It.
Yeah.
I be playing that when I'm at my I have a day job, you guys. But when I'm at my miserable job and I'm thinking of all the things that I want to accomplish in my life, I really have to play that song. And especially because it has DJ Rogers on it as well. And that's DJ Rogers is one of my favorite musicians ever. Yeah. But it's like a mantra. Yeah. It really is. It's always a debate of manifestation and, prayer, and which really it all comes down to the same thing. Yes. But Name It, Claim It really is a mantra for me.
Absolutely. It's yours.
It's yours. Name it. We sing that around the house.
We literally do. It's yours.
With You Brought the Sunshine still being a major hit, still charting, the success of Sincerely was really overshadowed. So it didn't really get that much attention because You Brought the Sunshine was still in the mainstream everywhere. Yes. I mean, which is still a good thing. Yeah. That's still good. However, Sincerely was still nominated for a Grammy for Best Soul Gospel Performance by a group or a duo. And this would mark the very first Grammy nomination for the sisters. Period.
They also went on to win the NAACP Image Award for Best Gospel Group in 1983. Around this time, the sisters also upgraded from just performing at churches. Now the girls were booking shows for, concert halls and auditoriums. Yes, of course, don't get me wrong. As a gospel group, it's a blessing to be able to be booked for a church.
Right.
A church service. But I feel like you're able to reach more of the masses once you're able to book outside of that as well.
Right. After receiving their second Grammy nomination for their song, He'll Turn Your Scars into Stars, the sisters, alongside their mother, Dr. Clark, were invited to perform at the 27th Annual Grammy Awards alongside other gospel nominees.
Which was a big deal.
No, that really was a big deal.
Because nowadays...
They ain't never seen nothing like that.
No, because nowadays, and this is kind of what I want to see more of, the incorporation of all music at the Grammys, and not just not even
just the Grammys.
Yeah, most award shows, but I'm just, the Grammys.
Yeah.
Not just at the, pre-show.
Right.
In a separate auditorium.
No, because that was a major moment.
Exactly. I'm talking about at the actual...
We'll link that to that performance.
At the actual taping. I want to see everybody, including gospel artists.
Early 1986, Denise had left the group to pursue her own ministry in California.
However, Denise did contribute vocals to the Heart and Soul album, released after a 4-year gap in 1986.
Jackie, Twinkie, Dorinda, and Karen continued to release music as a group under the label Word, which is a subsidiary of the label Rejoice. By 1988, the sisters released their critically acclaimed Billboard chart-topping album, Conqueror. The album featured sounds of contemporary gospel and urban R&B.
The album included hits like The Darkest Hour Is Just Before the Day, Take Me Higher, For the Love of the People, and Computers Rule the World.
This is when computers were becoming such a big deal. Big deal.
In 1989, the sisters recorded a live album in their native Detroit entitled Bringing It Back Home, which was also their final album released on the Rejoice label. And it was the final offering for Twinkie, as she was going to pursue her own solo career. The album offered new and catalog hits with guest spots from the legendary Mr. Rance Allen and the Michigan State Choir, directed by Dr. Clark.
Yes. By 1994, the three sisters, Jackie, Dorinda, and Karen, released their last studio album of the decade, Miracle. Miracle was the first album that was recorded without songwriting from Miss Twinkie.
Yes.
Still a great album, nonetheless. Yes. Still great, but you know, we love the magic of all of them together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Produced by B.B. Winans and Michael J. Powell, the album consisted of a remake of their song Expect Your Miracle, which is now entitled Miracle, and their version of Jesus is the Best Thing. And then this album also included writing credits from Miss Dorinda herself.
Yes. The album did extremely well. However, the sisters were not able to promote it in any way. They weren't able to go on tour because Dr. Clark fell ill. With Dr. Clark falling ill, she did pass in September of that same year. Following this release, however, the sisters did go on and do solo endeavors.
Yes.
To bring up how much, like, this is the same time that Faith Evans came out and how similar and almost identical her voice is to, yes, all the Clark sisters, but Karen especially.
You can hear that influence.
Yes.
Like, give Auntie her flowers.
Yes, please. The blueprint.
Yeah. By 2006, with the direction and production of Donald Lawrence, Jackie, Dorinda, Karen, and Twinkie, they recorded a live album in Houston, Texas called Live One Last Time. Support of the live album, the Clark sisters, they embarked on a 25-city tour in Nashville, Tennessee, starting in October of 2007.
The group was nominated for 2 Grammys in 2008. Live One Last Time won the award for Best Traditional Gospel Album, and Blessed Highly Favored won the award for Best Gospel Performance, and Karen was also given a single award for that, for her songwriting on that song, which is, they got their due.
Yes,
they got their due. They even were able to have their own Lifetime biopic. And you know, a lot of people from the world of gospel, they never get that mainstream due like they deserve.
Yeah.
So for them to have their own Lifetime movie, that's a big deal.
And because, you know, the sisters already had a rich history with the Grammys.
Yeah.
Like being, you know, the group that was coming down the aisle in the 80s. They also, last year actually, just won a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Period. I'm talking about, like, this is recent times.
Yeah,
this is literally almost a year ago. So, I mean,
they're still out there.
They are still working, still influencing. A lot of the singers that you hear today are influenced by the Clark sisters. You know, hello. And we are major Beyonce fans. We are major Destiny's Child fans. If you are a true Destiny's Child fan, you would know it was Michelle Williams that introduced the Clark sisters to Beyonce and Kelly. Now, I'm just saying, after Michelle came in the group and they recorded an actual album together, you can hear the influence, especially in Beyonce's runs, and you can hear it.
You know, I can't even imagine my life without even hearing Miss Karen's album. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up, like, I can't even think of my childhood, the 90s, the late 90s, the 2000s, without thinking about the Clark sisters. And their history even goes beyond that. Oh, yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, that was like,
snorted.
That was my tween era.
No, it really was. Like, she really uskered in like the tween church girl era for me.
I wanna be without you, 'cause I can't live without you. Exactly. Like, you get it. But
love her.
Love her.
This was another episode of Musicology 101 with ChrystalChyna, the sister series. We will be doing one more installment of this series, and we're going to be moving on to the brothers. Yes, if you guys have any suggestions, again, of brothers, and please, you guys, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please. We need it. We love you guys, and, you know, we're praying that this is going to be a great year. Started off a little rocky.
Yeah, because we are in LA.
We are in LA.
We have not been impacted by the fires personally, but
to see the disaster.
See the disaster, please pray for those families that have been displaced. Altadena, Pasadena, Palisades, like, please.
All of them, please.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be seeing you guys next time.